landlord is arguing me down about having to pay for my light bill. So I had to cover for my light bill out of pocket. But I will not be staying here. I am still planning on moving out. But I'm still waiting for things to get clearer. Like, I'm still waiting for things to make sense before I can make this move and, officially leave, right? Because financially, I have to know how I'm going to be able to provide for myself. As much as I want to stay in Brooklyn, the problem is that the type of living that I want and the type of rent that I want to pay, Brooklyn may not have. And so now I'm looking at places like Jersey, Jersey City, and I don't drive, and I work in Brooklyn, so that kind of makes my life. I want to thank everybody who joined, and my members only.
Y'all don't be knowing this content creation shit is not easy.
And it's just a way of me feeling like
everybody go through shit,
it, right? Instead of like getting online and begging people for stuff, right? So I want to say that too. Make sure you join my members only. We are only 10 people away from having 150 people. So make sure
I think I need to watch this.
it's still reacting. Get the things that they want. Like, yeah, y'all are scared of Haitian people or African people who practice magic. I think that the real devil exists right here. And there's a reason why they don't want us practicing African spirituality. Even in the Epstein files, like, they had a weird obsession with Nigerian women in their power. Like, they know something that we don't. Okay?
We know now
something that we didn't, and literally
we
shoved
didn't
Christianity down our throats, and we're using the same things that they told us not to use to better themselves and to advance themselves and to keep us under spell. Like, we're under fucking spells, people. Anyway, let's get into these reactions.
I just saw a video of somebody else talking about this. I'm gonna sound crazy to you. I'm gonna sound insane. And if you do not believe in the metaphysical, the spiritual, anything of that nature, go ahead and roll with me. We can't have a conversation. You go think I'm cookie. You go call the people on me. These are real people, real likenesses. They exist in the world, and they're in this man's house. Jeffrey Epstein has paintings of famous figures and masks of famous figures all throughout his house. Sandy, what does this have to do with anything? The elites are playing in your face. What he was doing was using sympathetic magic. And honestly, as an African, we've used it so deep in our ritualistic, practices that I never thought to add 2 plus 2 together. Oh my God, I feel like a crazy person. So whenever it comes to sympathetic magic, anything that is tied to another person, like, let's just say, if I got these headphones from you, and I took these headphones from you, and I did a ritual involving these headphones because they are attached to you, now whatever I say happens through this channel will affect you. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it won't come back to me because I'm embodying your energy. So if I have this item or this object that is connected to you and has your energy, and none of the energy that I send to you will come back to me, I can get away with a lot of shit. I could probably control the fuck out of you. Do you get where I'm going with this? Do you get where I'm going with? I really do believe that Jeffrey Epstein is using a type of magic to control people so he could get his way. And the blackmail, excuse me, oh my god, that's confirmation. It don't want to come out. It didn't want to come out. But the blackmail that he did of all these people was one part of it. The other part was having these like figurines and statues and paintings of these people in his house. So whenever he knew that he was going to channel that negative, nasty, ugly energy, he was never siphoning his energy. He was using the energy of everyone else around him. Like, it's not complicated, but oh my god, is it a masterful plan. Like, folks, Steve Bannon has now been totally exposed in the Epstein files. We're going to get into what is actually in the Epstein files and why is it that the people who are like actual conspirators with Jeffrey Epstein, like people who are working closely with Jeffrey Epstein, are being overlooked in favor of a broad conspiracy theory about all of society. We'll get into all of that, plus a big economic move from the Trump administration. First, the biggest story in the country right now remains the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. Information continues to move unbelievably fast. If you are trying to keep up, here is the answer. Finding Nancy Guthrie is the Daily Wire's first ever true crime podcast. It's hosted by investigative journalist Lyndon Blake, and it brings you new episodes every day. The latest on the case, tracks the real leads, the real developments, what changed, what it means, and what is happening in real time. No theories, no fan fiction, just the evidence. This is the case that America is following, can't stop talking about. Listen to Finding Nancy Guthrie, a Daily Wire true crime investigation streaming right now at dailywire.com and on that Daily Wire Plus app. There's a palpable frustration out there in American politics, pretty clearly. It's rooted in some ugly and unpleasant realities. The reality that lots of our major institutions blew up their credibility on COVID-19 and BLM and Russiagate, for example. The reality that we don't really have any idea how AI is going to reshape the job market. The reality that a ton of people in the political class have zero scruples and are totally willing to engage in open corruption. But that frustration is turning into something else before our eyes in this country, and that thing is nihilism. And that nihilism is rooted in a gigantic lie, a truly gigantic lie, that all of our problems in the United States are intractable, that individual problems that you may have or I may have in the United States, that's all the result of an evil system, often led by cohesive groups of conspiratorial elites, that you cannot succeed unless you pierce that supposed matrix, and that all of those who call for individual responsibility and dutiful decency, those people are actually part of this evil matrix. Now, this stuff is not solution making. It is thought preventing. It is success preventing. It's a recipe for personal and national disaster. And the result is an increasingly incoherent and unhinged politics, and an entire generation of young men and women who go looking for meaning in all the wrong places, and on the very fringes, sometimes turn to violence. There's a story in the Washington Post from a couple of days ago that highlights this by a guy named Peter Harisky. He writes, quote, amid a wave of high-profile killings and political violence in the United States, investigators have been confounded regularly by the absence of a recognizable agenda. The assailants in several cases, shootings, a bombing, a planned drone attack, resisted familiar labels and categories. They weren't Democrat or Republican or Islamist militant or Antifa or white supremacists. There was something new. In their manifestos, according to the Washington Post, these attackers declared their contempt for humanity and a desire to see the collapse of civilization. Law enforcement officers and federal prosecutors have begun to describe these attacks as a contemporary strain of nihilism, an online revival of a philosophical stance that arose in the 19th century to deny the existence of moral truths and meaning in the universe. And as the Washington Post suggests right there, that isn't actually anything new. Societies that experience major dislocations are often the breeding ground for nihilism and violence. That's been true going all the way back to Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground, which he wrote in 1864. But actually, if you reread Notes from the Underground, Dostoevsky goes further. He says that nihilism doesn't just require social dislocations or economic problems, that nihilism can arise particularly in prosperous periods where everybody seems to be doing pretty well. So he writes, quote, I, for instance, would not be in the least surprised if all of a sudden, apropos of nothing, in the midst of general prosperity, a gentleman with an ignoble, or rather with a reactionary and ironical countenance, were to arise, and putting his arms akimbo, say to us all,
I say, gentlemen, hadn't we better kick over the whole show and scatter rationalism to the winds, simply to send these logarithms to the devil and to enable us to live once more at our own sweet foolish will? That again, says Dostoevsky, would not matter, but what is annoying is that he would be sure to find followers, such is the nature of man, and all that for the most foolish reason, which, one would think, was hardly worth mentioning. That is, that man everywhere and all times, whoever he may be, has preferred to act as he chose and not in the least as his reason and advantage dictated. What man wants is simply independent choice, whatever that independence may cost and wherever it may lead, and choice, of course, the devil only knows. What choice? In other words, convince people that they don't have any choices in life, and what you are likely to get is a nihilistic retreat into barbarism, specifically because people want to lash out at their supposed lack of choice. They've heard me rail on this show, a lot of other places, against what I've called the conspiracy theory of society. That's the idea that everything in life is controlled by systems you can't quite identify, and that your problems are solvable only through violence or through...
Oh my, I can't even think properly. I can't find the creator who was explaining about how the connection of sympathetic magic and Epstein, how they congruent together. I can't find her. But if she pops up, if they pop up, just tag them for me, please. But I really do believe that in some way, shape, form, or fashion, he was using his practice to control the minds of people to do his bidding. So once you were in the house, once he had his dirt on you, once he had your likeness, he had your face. In his general living space, you were one of the vessels he used to siphon. That is spooky. Like, I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, is that what this is? Like, I'm not trying to sound kooky. Like, I want you to know that I'm not crazy, okay? I take care of myself. I live life very well. But I can't help but ask these questions because that means that they're dropping an elite ball knowledge in our face. And if you want to prosper, and if you want to benefit, and if you want to eat in any way, shape, or form, as fucked as this sounds, learn from this. Use the thing that they use for evil and turn it into something that's going to change your life. Okay? Because this was disturbing, but it did give me ideas as to how to better my practice. You know?
So that was one video that I saw. I don't know where my nose is, but that was one video that I saw talking about it. And then from there, I just went down this whole rabbit hole, this whole deep dive, because I'm like, yes, absolutely. I saw the mask too, but I just didn't know how to explain it. But I think that this video of this African woman explains it like so perfectly. But let's move on to the next video, the next reaction video. But before I do that, y'all, like, I don't think I can continue the video with this thing just literally pointing at y'all like this. So I'm gonna go find me some a pimple patch.
Of climate change, at that time called global warming. That he made this compelling presentation that everything's really mathematics. Yes. It's all just back to math. And you have to, all these experiments you do, you're not, one of the reasons they're not considered by the high priests in physics as being real experiments is that they don't have a mathematical basis to it, and everything has a mathematical basis to it. Langdon seemed like a radical visionary.
Facebook, it's good to see you all. We are changing things up a little bit this week from what I said yesterday. I know we said yesterday that we would have a high-ranking official from the Department of Homeland Security on the show today, and then tomorrow, Wednesday, we would do a deeper dive into all things Jeffrey Epstein. Well, the Department of Homeland Security needed to reschedule once again. So,
what happened to that concept?
You go back 350 years. So you have Isaac Newton, you have Leibniz. From move forward, you have people like Heisenberg and Gödel, and what every one of those mathematicians and philosophers came to understand is that there's numbers can describe certain things, approximate certain things. But in fact, trying to put measurements and numbers on other things that are really unexplainable is folly. It's so 300 years ago they said that unexplainable realm was God. And people who attempted, in fact, to explain the unexplainable, who said, yes, I understand the unexplainable, were charlatans. They were the occults, they were the astrologers, they were the con men.
Alchemist.
Yes, well, no, alchemist was, in fact, they believed that there was a way to transmute one metal into another. In fact, they always wanted to see if they can create gold. There's no reason, if you think about it, they recognize that one metal is different than another metal because it has some additional pieces to it. It has additional neutrons or protons or electrons. So, because they thought it was a machine, they believed it was a machine, if I can take 5 protons and add 5, that gives me 10, I should be able to get gold. Move everything around inside these systems, the molecules transmute one molecule into another, and if this molecule I've transmuted it into is gold, I'm a rich man. It's back to money. But there's something strange happens. Isaac Newton says, this is really weird. If I want to push a ball on the table, I have to touch it. Maybe I have to blow on it. But I actually have to push one side of the ball or the book to move that side. I'm pushing here, and obviously this thing is what appears to us humans to be solid, so it moves as one thing. But the only way to get something to move was to touch it or put a force against it. Okay, seems to make sense. Everybody has that experience. I want to lift a glass, I lift it. If I want to push a ball, I push it. If I want to pull a ball, I pull it. But he recognized when the ball fell off the table, it went in a different direction. How's that possible? Nobody pushed the ball down. And he said, this is crazy. Why did the ball go down? I didn't push it. I just let it go. So someone's pushing the ball, because I know that I am confident that the only thing that gets something to move is with a force that pushes. So there's a force that's pushing the ball down. In fact, he called it gravity. He measured how fast it was pulled, but never was able to explain why it happened. How is it? What is gravity? It's this. Everybody says, well, why did the ball fall to the ground? Because gravity took it. But what's gravity? That's, as Feynman would say, that's the name of the thing. We have no idea what it is. This goes to Santa Fe. They were trying to explain the unexplainable. Can we figure out a way to predict the stock markets using these types of chaos complexity?
Before we get there, let's walk back through. Let's go back to Newton.
Sure.
Pre-Newton and then Newton. What did Newton solve that for millennia up to Newton had not been solved? Then I want to go forward all the way to Santa Fe, what they were trying to solve. Let's start with just 2 or 3 of the basic guys, but let's go with Newton. What pre-Newton, it was what? And then why is Newton such a
genius?
And such a, I think mathematically they told me one time, I've seen there's been 115 billion people roughly that have lived on the earth. And of that 115 billion,
Are you sure that's a number? That sounds a lot very high. We only have 7 now.
I think in the history of the earth, I think it's, I'll pull up the stat for you, but I think it's 115 billion people. They figure
that probably is inflation. That's why
have lived through the earth. But he's one of the handful of the most important. What did he solve for? Why is he so important for how we live today? And then we want to go through Leibniz and the other 2 or 3 other major ones to get us to Santa Fe.
Well, it's a long journey.
This is the heart of what we're trying to do.
Let me take a bit of a detour for a second. What if you went to high school and the last year in your high school you took calculus? So Isaac Newton sort of invents calculus. Well, that sounds invents. Mathematicians
to torture seniors in high school before they graduate.
Yes, but obviously no. Yes, the answer is yes. Certain people could never do calculus.
Why is that? Why is calculus so? Why is that the dividing line between, to me, people who can handle that and can go on to do certain things, and people just hit the wall, even if they know math? It seems to me that there's that calculus is the thing that changes. It bridges. That's because it's about the theory of change and the theory of how things change. It's a great question, but in fact, what calculus does is it's somewhat philosophical. That's why mathematics is they used to be, Newton wasn't a mathematician. He was called a geometer. That's what they used to call themselves. They understood geometry and numbers. But there's an old conundrum where it says and during Pythagoras' days, Zeno's paradox it's called, where they said, well, if the wall is 2 feet away from me, and I take one step that's halfway to the wall, that'll be 1 foot away. And if I take another step that's half again, that'll be half a foot away, and then a quarter of a foot. I could walk forever but never touch the wall. Doesn't sound realistic, doesn't make any sense in our real lives of the physical. But what Newton understood is many problems were like that. Many things approached the wall, or in calculus, approached the limit, but never really reached it. So he said, it's okay, you don't have to reach it. We can do lots of the mathematics as if it was so close, it was almost there. And we can do lots of mathematics almost being at the limit. And this is really important, Steve, for today. Because most of the science up until today was things that are starting to approach the limit. You were taught in high school that if you had 1 divided by 0, if you remember...
So, I don't know if you guys were able to pick up a lot of what he was saying, because he kind of speaks like...
This is more than just using your body. So much of dance is in your expressions. Squinting has likely contributed to my crow's feet.
Yeah, but it's also kind of hard to explain these kind of things as well, because basically after the release of the files, it's discovered that Jeffrey Epstein was basically trying to, in a way, play God, right? So he was trying to understand everything. He was trying to understand magic. He was trying to understand, God, Jesus, Satan. Like, he was trying to create a new race of human beings, because he believed that white-haired and blue-eyed girls, blue-eyed and blonde-haired girls were, the standard, like, and it was a sign of intelligence. So he was doing horrific experimentations, trying to either insert them with AI or monkeys and things like that to create like a superior race, a stronger race, an indestructible type of race. They were also up there doing cloning. They were also up there doing consciousness swapping. So when he talks about the soul, when he talks about gravity, like, obviously we know what gravity is. It's the force that pulls everything down, that keeps us grounded, right? But for him, that's not enough. Like, he needs to understand gravity so that he can now use gravity at his, disposal. Now, here's the thing. Math and science really does tend to explain, or logically explain, the unexplainable. And a lot of the times they get to a point where it's like, yo, science can't explain this, But he was trying to get to that point where he was so powerful that he could walk through a wall, that he could disappear out of thin air. And that does involve not only studying the mathematics side of it, but also diving into the occult side of it all. Let's keep going.
Hey, I ain't gonna cap. I was trying to do the same shit.
These masks, these pictures that are coming out, is this technology or is it magic? Just like everyone else, we are all seeing epi files, and of course we're speaking in code about, and pictures come out, and they're just all becoming more and more bizarro. I have to admit, though, when I saw the masks, my throat dropped to my butthole. No, it's not confirmed, but I look at that, I see like famous faces, I see world leader faces, I see actor faces, I see president faces, and I'm seeing a lot of people talk about like they were used to like implant memories and things of that nature, which I'm not discounting. I'm not here to argue tech that I don't understand or can't verify. I do want to talk about magic. This is why I have such a hard time with astrology that calls the meant a lot more than just like use math and likeness in their magic. It's called sympathetic magic. And we're going to get really weird. But you know what? It's okay. We're going to do it together. We know that these boys love Greek and Roman like history and culture. And I know that's because they love their magic. I mean, not just, all the weird stuff, but they love the magic. In Greek and Roman magic, masks aren't just like a costume. They're a key in ritual world. Like I want you to mask wasn't about hiding. Mask is about becoming. Mask is about giving like making a connection, a link, making there like a landing place. A mask is a ritual like a old ritual technology that says I'm not me. I'm inhabiting this. I am a role. I am an archetype. I am a god. I am an energy. I am above consequence. That's why theater was sacred, and that's why women could not be a part of theater, because they had masks, and women weren't responsible enough to take on another likeness because it was powerful. When you watch Eyes Wide Shut and anything about like elite rituals, there's always masks, and everyone goes, "Oh, they want to hide their face," which not wrong. Power does love disguise, but wearing a mask changes how you act and what you're allowed to do. Likeness magic isn't just to the Greeks and Romans. You can see it in all different practices and different forms. But look at a face. A face is an equation. What are your eyes and mouth? One of the most prominent symbols of math, which you're going to figure out that everything goes back to math and is an equation, but it's the triangle. Or if you're in astrology, more specifically, it's a yod. It's the finger of God. It's the access point. The face is a threshold. It is magic. Eyes are influence, fascination. Think about the evil eye. The mouth, oath, spell, command, breath, life force. So when you put on a face, especially a famous one, especially one people recognize, in magic terms, you're kind of stepping into permission in a lot of ways. Your permission to act like them, your permission to take like them, your permission to harm them, your permission to kind of treat them as an object, as a tool. And this isn't science fiction. This is ritual magic. This is ritual psychology. This is cult behavior. There is a reason why when you get deeper into cults, you start dressing up. What's up, people? This is Attorney Joshua Palmer, the Win Big lawyer, and this is Win Big Court. I'm not a real judge. This is all fun and games, but I am a real lawyer. And what we do not play about is personal injury.
I fuck with sympathetic magic.
No fault of your own, give us a call. 8448-WIN-B.
I always play on the man.
You say she brought her yams. She's not talking about the food. She's talking about her yams.
That's what she finna start talking about, dressing up. That's me all
People
day.
split their soul on purpose. In sympathetic magic, likeness is a link. There are some witches out there, like they just need a picture. They don't need your name. They don't need that, and they fuck you up. I'm a birthday girl. I don't need your name. I don't need a picture. Give me that birthday. But it's always like a connection, right? A name is a link. A face is a link. A symbol, a sigil, that's a link. The oil, the hair, it's all a link. That can do something pretty dark though. They can create a world where like nobody is responsible. It's not me. I was wearing a mask. It was the role. It was the game. Got lost in the ritual. That's how predators have continued to build a religion out of abuse.
Being predatory.
These men love Rome and Greece. They love the empire aesthetics, and I don't think it's just for their philosophy. I did think for a while it was just the outlook on how men should have relationships with younger boys as like good male bonding or whatever, but it's more than that. It's ritual magic. It is. They love it for the part where power is holy. Conquest is entertainment. You know, the ultimate colonizers, wearing someone's mask is colonizing in a totally different way. They love Saturn eating his children. They love the Dionysus frenzy with no accountability. They love the labyrinth. They love the Minotaur. Shit, we know Epstein was obsessed with Moloch. I mean, good goddamn. Mask is how one would be able to enter the labyrinth without facing their own consequences or, being human. I'm not saying that demons or spirits can be invoked in a mask, but there are lots of practices who believe that. A lot of witches like to trap spirits and dolls because there's a likeness. You can do that when you have the equation. I told you things are just going to get weirder, but we're going to name things, okay? But masks are a tool for disassociation, a tool for hierarchy, a tool for ritualizing harm. When harm becomes ritual, people stop seeing it as harm. Like, think about hazing or things of that nature. We're okay with it until someone dies. And it's like, why are we doing this? Because they see it as initiation, and it's just a beginner for the rest of the elite world. That's what fraternities and sororities are. Little practice. And part of that practice is hazing. It's the initiation. This is how elite cults are built. You gotta look at the pattern. Masks mean power without identity. They are a link to sympathetic magic, violence without consequence, role play as a cover for ritualized harm. And this is ancient shit. This is Greek. This is Roman. This is beginning of empire shit. And it always really comes to the front when empires start eroding. If you want, I'll do a part 2. Comment mask down below if you're cool with us being weird and calling things as they are now, because that's what we need to do.
Y'all, this lady, she just, the last video that of us reacting to Epstein talking, when he was talking about mathematics and all that stuff, this lady explains everything that they're doing. She broke it down so clearly. And in case you don't understand, okay, if I do something while I am using something in your likeness, so that means I'm wearing your clothes, I'm siphoning your energy, or I'm wearing your wig, again, siphoning your energy, and I do some fuck ass shit, it's not gonna come back to me. No, it's gonna come back to you. Because I'm doing it in your likeness. It's not me doing it anymore. It's you. So when karma spins the block, karma's spinning at you. So, yeah.
So I want to know why nobody's talking about this. I had over $3,000 fraud on my Chase account yesterday in Cape Town yesterday. I was suspicious after being at the voodoo market yesterday. Chase is sorting it out. Okay, so maybe I'm thinking, okay, that's the name of the market, voodoo market, whatever. Then I came across this. By the way, Citadel called today and said that they would want me to sit down with a voodoo consultant who is going to give me some kind of 4-hour personality. So I keep on digging. Boom. This is a receipt from $8,000 worth of ritual furniture, because it's a ritual wine vessel, ritual bronze vessel with lay. What do you need this for? And then I ran it through ChatGPT. And they told me what it was for. It's for rituals. All of these things. And this is one more thing that piqued my interest right here. It says that Jon Stewart took to look at Obama's red line in Syria and may or may not have crossed using chemical weapons, and then took part in the Republican March to War, but not boots on the ground war. Apparently, we'll be fighting this one with remote freedom magic. But the right weapons to the right people. Oh, we're the right weapons. The right weapons to the right people. Wow. All I can tell y'all to do is stay woke. You still help me if I don't have all my tax documents together. I'm missing a lot of things. The short answer is 100%. You don't have to have everything completely organized for us to help you with your tax issue. We know life gets messy.
lost W-2s, missing 1099s. All of these issues are more common than you think. Our team can help you pull IRS transcripts, estimate your income, track down documents, and get you back on track, even if you're missing a few puzzle pieces. You don't have to have it all figured out. That's our job. Your job is to take the first step. Click below to learn more.
3 reasons why Cardis is the best gift this holiday season. Reason 1, you're getting them respect, not just jewelry. This isn't just a watch, it's instant status. When they walk into any room wearing Cardis, people treat them different. Bouncers wave them into VIP. Bartenders serve them first, and everyone assumes they got money. You're giving them confidence and respect for the whole year. Reason 2, complete set that actually lasts. Most gifts get forgotten in a drawer. This Italian crafted watch with VVS They were doing black magic. They are. I personally believe that they're doing it consciously and intentionally, but whether they're doing it consciously and intentionally or not is almost irrelevant. They're siphoning the life force out of other people to make themselves feel more powerful. They're literally taking the light out of those young girls and boys' eyes. Permanently too. They're destroying. They literally suction something out of them. Do you understand that? The things that happen to those kids are not things that people ever come back from.
It's crazy. I gotta go take a shower, bro.